Okay, fellas, brilliant job making the semi-finals again. We're taking on Pep Guardiola's Chelsea. This team also got beaten in the semi-finals last season. We all know that English Pep isn't very good in the clutch in the Champions League, okay? So let's just see what we can do here. There's absolutely no pressure on us. Let's try and make our first Champions League final. Come on, boys. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 141 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode is the Champions League semi-finals for 2033. We're taking on Pep Guardiola's Chelsea. Can we make our way through to the final for the first time in this save? If you are looking forward to this one, which also includes another big money new transfer here at Volsungur, who can play for us once we do enter the new European season. But if you're looking forward to it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But this is what things look like going into today's episode. If you missed the quarterfinals in yesterday's one, I'll leave a link to that over in the top right corner. We just got the job done yet again against AC Milan. Our reward for that is a test here against Pep Guardiola's Chelsea, who currently find themselves on top of the Premier League. So arguably this is one of the toughest tests that we could have got in the semi-finals, these guys having defeated Manchester United in the quarterfinals. But Pep Guardiola, the one thing that is hanging over his head, much like in real life in the save, is that English Pep does not have a good record in European competitions. He left Manchester City quite early in the save, was replaced by Vincent Kompany, and since then the only continental competitions he has won at Chelsea have been the Europa League back in 2025, as well as the Super Cup in that same year as well. So it's been quite a while since Chelsea have tasted some continental success. They were defeated by PSG in the semi-finals last season, while we got defeated by Real Madrid. It's going to be interesting to see today how we match up here against the 4.5-star reputation, very, very strong-looking personnel-wise team that Pep Guardiola has put together at Chelsea. But we haven't played any competitive fixtures off the back of that quarterfinal in yesterday's episode, but we have made a big transfer for the upcoming season. And again, it's looking to future-proof this squad here that we do have at Volsungur at the moment. We have signed Hans Voss off of Ajax, 2-star current ability, 3.5-star goal potential, but 4.5-star overall potential. He looks like a really promising right winger for us, who can also play out left and actually has a better left foot as well, so he's definitely going to be a good versatile option for us. Can also play in the midfield, but he is our second big money signing for this transfer window. We have spent quite a bit of money on him, as you can probably tell there by his valuation once he has joined us here at Volsungur. £18.5 million up front. That potential a lot higher than most other options we could find at right wing, and that's an area where I think we're a little bit weak in terms of our under-19 squad at the moment. So we spent the money on him. He is a very similar signing to Alan Basicki, a player who will hopefully work his way into the first team in a couple of years' time, but should get some football when we do get into the new European season, or at least the domestic season. Once that does get into gear, he can replace Patrick Nygaard out on the right wing in that domestic league team, and hopefully will overtake someone like Nicholas Zimmerman in the first team in a couple of seasons' time. Had higher potential than players like Cruz Zamorano, who we were looking at a season or so ago, the last year's next gen winner. This guy has more potential than him these days, and hopefully we can get him to reach that potential after doing a decent job so far in the Ajax reserve team. So that's pretty much most of our transfer money actually gone on those signings of Basicki and Voss. Now, if we do go over to the scouting page, we do still have a little bit of money left, £9,090,000 wage as well, so we could get a few more signings in if we wanted. But one thing we do need to consider, we are making the deal for Adam Saki permanent in a couple of months' time. That's going to cost us $5.5 million, so we do need to keep that in mind. We might still be able to get one more player in who could potentially be a first team player once we adjust the wage budget, but that is now most of our transfer budget gone from this past season, when we did have around about £40 million available to us here. But as I said, we've played no competitive games off the back of yesterday's episode, and what that means is we are at full strength going into the first leg of the semi-final tie against Chelsea. Exactly the same team that we put out for the second leg of yesterday's episode, the team that just got the job done at home against AC Milan. The one change here for the semi-finals is we are actually playing the home leg first, so ideally a good result here to take to Stamford Bridge. And without any further ado, we'll come back shortly and hopefully get that nice result in the first leg of the Champions League semi-finals against Chelsea. And just confirming the team sheets for this first leg from the Largadas Vola, there we are at full strength. Hopefully we can get the job done this season. In the semi-finals, there is Chelsea. Big names all over the field for those guys. A few new gens as well, the likes of Hales out on the left wing. He is a very, very good player. So it's a very, very strong Chelsea team. But hopefully we can take something decent into the away leg at Stamford Bridge. And 14 minutes gone, we do have the first highlight in this game, and we were just tidying things up at the back there. So far, Chelsea with 2 shots to none, but no team with a shot on target. So far, it's been pretty quiet here in the opening 15 minutes, but we start to make our way forward here. Lassana Doumbia inside the box, gets a shot off. It just blazes past the left post. Still 0-0 at the quarter of an hour mark. And right before the 40-minute mark, we do have our next highlight. Things exactly even now stats-wise in this game. Kalen Rakasan tries to put that top right corner, but Montiel in goal today for Chelsea claims that safely. He's actually a replacement for the usual first-choice goalkeeper. I believe his name is Ortega. He is out injured at the moment, but Chelsea looking to do something here on the counter-attack. Ferreira with a shot just kisses the top of the crossbar, so we get away with that one. Still 0-0, a few minutes shy of halftime. And just those 2 highlights in that first half of that Champions League semi-final, the first league here at the Largadas Vola. We are slightly edging things stats-wise, slightly higher XG, so that is encouraging, but it would be nice to take a lead into that second leg at Stamford Bridge, where things are no doubt going to be a little bit tougher, but so far it's a pretty even game. We're slightly dominating shots on target, XG, and possession, so arguably just slightly in front at the moment, but we need to make that pay at some point here in the second half. No substitutions just yet, and we'll kick off the second 45 minutes shortly as the scoreline still locked up here at 0-0. And up to the hour mark, so far no highlights in the second half, but we're going to make our first few substitutions at this time. Levan Tam picked up an early yellow card there in the second half, so Carlo can come on for him. Also, Chaka Traore just struggling a little bit on the left wing. Jonata will come on for him. Still 0-0 with a half hour left. And now up to the 70-minute mark, we're going to make our last substitution. Still nothing happening here in the second half, but Zimmerman not playing too well on a red card as well. Fabio Mariano will come on for him. We'll see if any changes here are needed to opposition instructions as we enter the last 20 minutes. Still locked up here at 0-0 in the home league. And we are inside injury time here in this home league. No highlights since the first half, it does look like, despite me changing a few things tactically here in the second half. Is going to be a 0-0 draw in the end. We did absolutely nothing in that second half. Chelsea in the end for slightly higher XG, but that was a very, very dull first leg. That's a little bit frustrating because that will definitely be advantage Chelsea now as the second leg is at Stamford Bridge, but we certainly weren't outplayed by a massive amount, and unlike last season, we are still in this tie after the first leg last year. Real Madrid completely blew us out the water there. We'll just tell the boys that we didn't play that well, but we still got a decent results. That is actually encouraging signs, I suppose, and we'll come back shortly to a little bit of a recap before we get into the second leg, because I think we might know the other team who will be in the Champions League final by that stage before we do take on Chelsea in the second leg, with things still all to play for at Stamford Bridge. And we are back about to enter the second leg of this Champions League semi-final off the back of that very dull opening affair there at the Largadas Vola. But as you can see on the screen, if we somehow find a way to get past Chelsea here at Stamford Bridge, our opposition in the Champions League final would be Manchester City, after they absolutely get some revenge on the fact that Inter Milan did top a group that they were also in. They beat them 8-2 on aggregate, so that is quite a dangerous sign there. Man City look like they are in some peak form there going into the Champions League final, even though Chelsea are above them on the Premier League table, so that is also a little bit concerning. We could be in here for a bit of a battering potentially against Pep Guardiola's men, but we do unfortunately have a little bit of an injury update off the back of that first leg in training. Unfortunately, Andy Harwood did pick up an injury. That means that Stamatas Jatzakis is coming in to the first team if we make our way down a little bit. You will see there that Andy Harwood has picked up a red injury. He's pulled his thigh. He is out for 5 to 10 days. So that is why he is unavailable for us as a bench option here for the second leg of the semi-final. As I said, Stamatis Tsatsakis comes onto the bench. Still got Ian Carlo as right back cover, so it doesn't affect things too much. It will just change things if we do have to bring someone on at left back in place of Kenny Boreal. But apart from that, we're going to put out exactly the same starting 11, just that one change on the bench. And hopefully we can worry Pep Guardiola out of another Champions League. And we'll come back shortly from Stamford Bridge for the team sheets for the second leg, still locked up at 0-0. And here are the team sheets for the second leg. Chelsea up first. They have brought back that very good goalkeeper they have, as well as some other very good players in their squad. That team probably looks a little bit stronger than the one that we did take on back in Iceland, as I mentioned before. Just that one change on the bench for us, but hopefully we can pull off an upset here away from home and make our first Champions League final of the save. And only 3 minutes into this one, we do have our first highlight. It is a throw-in here inside the opposition half, but unfortunately an interception there from Chelsea. They switched that out to Junior on the left-hand side and look to play out from the back here. They do have some very good players in this team, like Ryan Gravenberch, who was just on the ball there, but does play a poor pass, and we do get possession back here and look to play out from the back ourselves. Can we strike nice and early here at Stamford Bridge? That would be a wonderful way to start. Nicholas Zimmerman makes his way inside the box, tries to square that for Adam Saki. It is cut out there by Chelsea, but they only clear that as far as Ali Ramadan. So yet again, it does look like we are on the attack here. Doumbia, nice ball out to Levantan, plays that for Zimmerman, somehow gets that past his defender, gets a lot of help there off the post, and we are 1-0 up here very early at Stamford Bridge. That is a dream start. Hopefully we can start worrying Pep out of this yet again. Hopefully some more Champions League misery for Guardiola, and that is a great start here away from home. Not quite sure how Zimmerman got that beyond his man, but a good finish with a lot of help there off the post. 1-0 Volsungur after only 4 minutes. And we go forward just shy of the 20-minute mark for our next highlight. Yet again, it's potentially in our favour as we do have a corner. Doumbia puts this one into the mixer. Open header there for Ramadan or Basaroge, not too sure, unfortunately. Misses the target, but a good start here. We are still 1-0 up, just past the 20-minute mark. And 10 minutes shy here of half-time, still 1-0 up. It is Chelsea here on the ball as they try and get something going here, really, for the first time in this first half. It's a little bit sloppy. It's a shot there from Hales, and Husavik is forced into pairing that out for a corner. Not the most threatening shot, but Husavik nearly made a meal of that. Hopefully, it's not going to cost us. Foden puts this one into the mixer, but Ali Ramadan will clear that. Chelsea forced on the retreat. We are still 1-0 up here, 5 minutes shy of half-time in the second leg. And that is half-time here in the second leg of this Champions League semi-final. A very early goal there to Nicholas Zimmerman gives us a 1-0 lead. Apart from that, though, it has been quite an even game yet again. So it doesn't look like there's too much between these two teams. Hopefully, we can cling on here to the scoreline. We are going to make one change at half-time, not risking anything being in front. Chaka Traore picked up a yellow card in the first half. We will bring on Jonata for him for these last 45 minutes. We'll just check the opposition instructions, and hopefully we can hang on here in the second half and make our way through to a first Champions League final, 1-0 up with 45 minutes left to play at Stamford Bridge. And just shy of the hour mark, we do have a free kick here in the first highlight of the second half, and we are in possession, so hopefully that remains this way for most of the highlights we do see here in the second half. Junior plays that back to Ortega, clears it, and they do get their head on the end of that. Does one of the Chelsea players, but Basaroge is there to tidy things up for us. We play that back to Husavik and look to play out from the back again. So far, in most of these highlights that we are seeing, we are controlling position quite nicely. Nicholas Zimmerman now just holds things up, squares this for Rakasan, puts it top left corner. 2-0 Volsungur with only about a half hour left now. Hopefully that's the goal which gives us enough of a cushion to book our place in our first Champions League final, which would be against Manchester City. Nice ball there from Jonata off the bench out to Zimmerman. He finds Rakasan. Nice finish there right into that top left corner. 2-0 Volsungur with 30 minutes left of the semi-final. And we've gone forward to the 66-minute mark now. We are going to make our first substitution. We are still 2-0 up, only 24 minutes left here, but Basaroge is down to a red card. In fact, it's our second substitution because we made that one at halftime, but we're going to bring on Karel Giroux for Basaroge. one sub left, 24 minutes left. We are still 2-0 up. And in fact, only a minute off the back of that second substitution, we're going to change things up again because now Dumbia is down to a red heart. Thiago Polo will come on for him. It will be Ali Ramadan going into the DM role and Giroud into the box-to-box role. 2-0 up, 23 minutes left here in the semi-final. And we are inside the last 10 minutes here of this Champions League semi-final. We do have a goal kick here we look to play out from the back, but very encouraged so far that the highlights in the second half have been, for the most part, us in possession. Nicolas Zimmerman makes his way down the right-hand side, but a little bit loose on the ball there, and Chelsea do get possession back. Hopefully, we don't bowl this here in the last 10 minutes and don't pep things up, but hopefully we've done enough here in the opening 80 minutes to make sure we're going to reach our first Champions League final. That ball played over the top, thought there might be a little bit of something going on there, but Husavik does claim the ball and he rolls this out to Thiago Polo. He starts to make his way forward, just takes his time. We'll play this back to Husavik. Oh no, that is an absolute howler from both Thiago Polo and Husavik, and hopefully that's not going to cost us, because that is an absolute shocker there from our defender and goalkeeper. It's a simple pass back, a little bit off target, not quite sure what Husavik is doing. It finds the bottom right corner. It's an own goal, and Chelsea are back in this with 8 minutes to play. It is 2-1. And only a few minutes off the back of that absolute shocker there from Thiago Polo and Husavik, Chelsea are back in possession. Hopefully it's not going to be like that the way that we do lose this Champions League semi-final, albeit good interception there from Giroud. And we are here on the counter-attack, and Saki puts that in the back of the net. It was never in doubt. We get our second goal cushioned back there, and thankfully that own goal looks like it's not going to cost us too much at all. It would take one heck of a collapse from here. Good interception from Giroud. Zimmerman plays the ball forward. Ortega should probably be getting there, but Saki beats him, puts it away past him at the near post, and we are back in control 3-1 with less than 5 minutes left. And up to the 90-minute mark, we have one more highlight here. Hopefully, anyway, it's the last highlight, because quite happy with how this is going. A little bit hairy there from Husavik and Paolo again, but this time it does not cost us. But thankfully, off the back of that own goal, it was Saki who put the ball in the back of the net. Levan Tam there with a little bit of a clumsy clearance, but thankfully the Chelsea player heads that over the bar. But we are inside the last 2 minutes here. It looks like we are going to pick up a 3-1 win away at Stamford Bridge. Pep comes up short in the Champions League. Gets a get-in for the first time in this save, despite a big scare there at the 82-minute mark, that own goal from Thiago Polo. But we do make our way through to our first Champions League final. We score all 4 goals at Stamford Bridge, even if one of them we would rather have avoided, but in the end we make our first Champions League final. And coming up in tomorrow's episode, it is Volsungur versus Manchester City as we try and win our first European title, the big dog one, in the Champions League final off the back of a 3-1 win in the semis against Chelsea. And we are back in the inbox off the back of making our first Champions League final in the save in the year 2033. We are going to the San Siro, where we did only just yesterday beat AC Milan, albeit it was actually a draw in that first leg at the San Siro. But we've got a chance of winning our first Champions League title, albeit it is going to have to be against Manchester City, a team who we do not have a good record so far against in this save. They have pretty much battered us so far when we've taken them on in the group stages of the Champions League. But we'll counter that by saying they are below Chelsea on the Premier League table at the moment, and are not going to catch them either before the final day of the season. So in theory, this could potentially actually be a little bit easier than what we did just face there in Chelsea. So we might actually have a chance of picking up our first European trophy in this save, and it's the big one, the Champions League as well. That would make those losses earlier in the save in the Conference League and Europa League finals, also to English opposition, a little bit easier to take if we can get a result in that Champions League final. A very quick look at Manchester City before we dive in deeper in tomorrow's episode, where we will also, of course, have our end of European season review, which we might do a little bit differently with us playing in the last game of the European season. But there is Manchester City, 5-star reputation club, Vincent Kompany in charge. They have won the Champions League under his guidance in 2028 and 2030, so they might actually be a little bit tougher than Chelsea given that. But it is a very good Manchester City team there, but hopefully off the back of some good wins, especially there away at Stamford Bridge, we might have a chance to pick up our first European trophy, and also something which I hadn't really considered off the back of that win in the semi-final. We have now qualified for the FIFA Club World Cup, which I think, if we have a look at this, is now played only every 4 years, and we are due for one this season, which could actually be quite useful because we are now having to wait until a Champions League playoff in this upcoming season to qualify for the competition. But that's something else that we do have on the table tomorrow. If we do win that Champions League final, we will then guarantee ourselves a spot in the group stage of the Champions League, even though we should really be in a position to be doing that anyway. Shouldn't have to worry about that Champions League qualification playoff so much when you consider we made the semi-finals last year and we are now in a Champions League final, and we have got the Club World Cup to look forward to as well. That might be coming up potentially later this week, seeing as it is due to start in late June, not too far off the back of that Champions League final. But that will do it for today's episode. For the first time in this save, we are in the Champions League final, and they'll be played tomorrow as we do take on Manchester City. If you did enjoy today's episode, that win over Chelsea, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow for the Champions League final of 2033, Man City versus Volsungur, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.